Everyone knows about the jab, cross, hooks and uppercuts. Those are the 6 basic punches in boxing, but if you dig deeper you will discover many more uncommon punching techniques like the up jab, the chopping cross, the shovel hook, the bolo uppercut, and in this video we'll go through 17 different advanced punches that you can add to your striking arsenal. Let's start with 4 different jab variations, and the first one will be the up jab, which looks like this. So it's mostly thrown from the filial guard or from low hand guard position. To throw this, get in your fighting stance, then move your lead hand to your waist level and bend it at the 90-degree or more angle. So it looks like this, or it can hang even lower than that. So you keep it here, and then imagine that you try to slap someone with the back of your palm, like this. And then just make your punch travel in a straight line forward and back. So it will look like this. And then form your fist and throw the punch and make it move back at the same speed as it goes forward. And altogether it will look like this. This is an amazing punch which works really well at the long distance, and it is very hard to see and it travels really fast, so make sure to use it when you fight at the long range. Well, our second jab variation will be the down jab, and it looks like this. That's a variation of power jab where you keep your elbow, you move it to your shoulder level, so it looks like this. It may look like a bad form of a punch, but it can be used to throw powerful jabs when the timing is right and when your position is right. So stick to basic jabs most of the time, but for example after a slip, when you're in a good position, you can throw this down jab and hurt your opponent really bad. Then you can throw it in combinations. For example, you go 1, 2, and from here you can go with this powerful down jab and hurt your opponent. So use this punch carefully because it will leave you wide open to the body, but it definitely has a place to be in your striking arsenal. Then the third jab variation will be the screw jab, and it looks like this. Basically what makes it different from the basic jab is your fist position. So you don't throw it with your palm looking down, but you throw it with your palm looking to the side or slightly up and to the side, like this. And what it makes is that it cuts through high guard, so it cuts through blocks. For example, you go with a regular jab once, twice, and you see that it can't go through your opponent's gloves. But then on the third time, you go with a screw jab, you rotate your punch, your fist in the air, so like this, and it will cut through your opponent's block. So very good punch to fight against guys who keep their hands up. And well, our last jab variation is the tapping jab, and it looks like this. Imagine like you're a cat and you play with something, for example with a list of paper, and you tap. It goes from up to down, like this. And it is used to measure the distance, to keep your opponent busy, distracted, to put something between his gloves, to block his vision, and it's mostly used by taller guys. So they would lead you like this, they would play with their tapping jab in front of your face, and they then will go with a hard, powerful punch, or they can go with the lead hand as well. So those were 4 different jab variations, and now let's move to different hook variations. And the first hook variation will be the check hook or the sidestep hook, and it looks like this. To the left and to the right. So what you have to do is to take a step to the left with your lead foot if you're an orthodox, and to the right if you're a southpaw. So take a step, rotate your heel, shoulder and hip, like this. And at the same time you throw the hook. And then you bring this foot back, so you end up in your fighting position, in your fighting stance. And in the same way you throw it to the rear side, like this. And it is very good as a counter punch, because when your opponent rushes at you, you can move back, and when you see that he commits to his punch, you can counter him really hard with this type of hooks. And then the second hook variation will be very similar, and it's mostly used for the lead hand. So it's the pivot hook. Pivot your rear foot back like this, and at the same time throw the lead hook. And you generate a lot of force, and once again, if your opponent commits to his punches a lot and you see that he is like falling forward to reach to you, you can use and pull out this pivot hook to counter him and knock him out. So once again, it looks like this. And then you end up in your fighting stance and you continue fighting. Well, that was the second variation, and the third one will be the Gazelle Hook, and it looks like this. And it may look a little sloppy because I am a taller fighter, but the idea is to like duck, get low, change levels, rotate your shoulders, and then explode with the hook. So once again, it looks like this. You go low and you rotate your shoulders to load this one. So you can throw powerful lead hook, for example. So I go low, rotate my shoulders, and from this position I explode with both of my feet, and I kinda jump forward like a gazelle, and then throw this hook. And once again, how it looks faster. Go low and then hit the hard lead hook. You can see many short guys performing it perfectly and knocking out their opponents. Okay, that was the third hook variation, and the fourth one will be the shovel hook. And the idea is to throw it at the 45 degrees angle. So basic hook is parallel to the floor, uppercut is perpendicular to the floor, but this is something in between. So it travels like this, in this line. So you move and then you go like this. You can throw it with both of your hands, like this. A good example of this technique will be Alex Pereira, who knocked out many, I guess, thousands of guys with this punch. And the last hook variation that I want to share is the looping hook, and it looks like this. So your hand goes low, and then as it moves up, you do this like looping motion in your shoulder and throw the hook. It's a lighter punch, but it is really well at the long range. Especially good old Soviet, post-Soviet fighters use this, and you can either start your attack with this, because from the long range you can play with the jab and then go around their guard with this hook. Also you can exit from your attacks with this punch. Also you can fake jab to the body and then with the change of levels throw this hook. Also you can throw it with the rear hand, but it is a little bit more difficult to land because it travels longer and harder to hit. But if you're fast enough and you have proper timing, you can use it as well. So those were the hook variations that I wanted to share. And now let's talk about the cross variations. And the first one will be the corkscrew cross, which looks like this. And the idea is the same as behind the corkscrew jab. You have to rotate your fist to make your punch cut through your opponent's block. In the jab you rotated your fist like this, so your thumb was looking up, but here you have to rotate your fist the way your thumb looks down. So it will look like this. You keep your hand here, as your punch goes forward, you rotate your fist. And this turning motion will cut through your opponent's blocks, first of all, and also as it lands, it will tear your opponent's facial skin, which will hurt them a lot. So this punch definitely should have a place in your striking arsenal. And our second cross variation will be the check cross. So it looks like this. Basically, you just have to move your head from the attack line and go back and to the side and throw the cross at the same time. Imagine that this line is where my opponent's jab goes. So I take a step back and to the side, and now my head is no longer at this line, so I can dodge his punch. and at the same time I throw my cross. Basically, like I did with the hook, or I can do it with the uppercut, but this time I throw the cross over his hand, and I will connect and counter him successfully. And from here I can add a punch, or I can go here and keep fighting. Well, that was the second cross variation, and the third one will be the chopping right cross, and it looks like this. So it may look sloppy, but it's definitely something that can knock out your opponents. So you throw it like this. Imagine that you're taking a rock in your hand and you want to hit your opponent's head with this rock. So you go like this. So first you move your shoulder, your elbow sticks out a little, and the power does not go like straight forward. It goes a little bit down. So you move your hand forward, and then at the last moment you turn your elbow up. So your punch goes down, and it will look like this slower, like this. So imagine that you're keeping this rock in your hand and hitting someone, and then just connect with your knuckles like this. So a very good example will be Thomas Hearns and his chopping right hand. He knocked many opponents this way, and this may not seem as a perfect technique, but it definitely is something very effective. And now let's talk about the uppercut variations. And the first uppercut variation that I want to share is the check uppercut. Basically, the idea is the same as behind the check hooks. You have to take a step to the side, move your head from the attack line, rotate your foot, hip, and shoulder like this, and at the same time throw the uppercut. And then move this foot in the way you end up in your fighting stance. So imagine that my opponent is moving at me, and he throws the cross, and I counter him with this check uppercut. Also, I can counter him in the same way to this side. For example, he goes with a jab, and I throw a rear check uppercut. Well, that was the first variation, and the second one will be the hammer uppercut, which looks like this. So in the basic uppercut, you position your fist like this, and it makes your punch powerful, but in the hammer uppercut, you position your fist like this. It makes your punch a little bit less powerful, but it cuts through your opponent's block. For example, imagine that someone keeps their high guard really tight, and you can't just fit your hand in this position there. But if you position your fist like hammer uppercut, it will cut through their guard and make their head snap back. So that's a very nice punch to have in your striking arsenal. And the last but not least variation is the Bolo uppercut, which looks like this. You can throw it to the body and to the head. So to throw it, you have to move your elbow back first, and in this circular motion hit your opponent. So it will look like this slower. So it is a very telegraphed and powerful version of an uppercut. Also, to throw it, you can imagine that you're a knight, you're riding a horse, you take your sword out, and then you move your elbow back, swing your sword, and chop your enemy's head. So, and then just translate it into boxing. So you move in your fighting stance. For example, you get your opponent on ropes, you can keep him with the lead hand, so he stays in one position, and then you take your time and throw this very powerful Bolo uppercut, and you knock out your opponent. And the last two punches that I'm gonna share with you are the overhands. And let's begin with the rear overhand, and it looks like this. So to throw it, you have to firstly step in, move your head from the attack line, but don't go with a regular slip, because you have to change the alignment of your shoulders to successfully land this punch. So I step in, and I move my head from the attack line, and I make my lead shoulder go down and my rear shoulder go up. So I don't go just like this, I go like this. And then I throw this punch with the form of a hook, like this, but because I changed the alignment of my shoulders, it will go like this. So it will move up and then down. and slower altogether it will look like this. Step in, move my head from the attack line, and throw this punch. And faster it will look like this. And there are many examples how people knocked out their opponents with this incredible and simple punch. And then there is the lead overhand. The idea is the same. You have to step in, move your head from the attack line, and change the alignment of your shoulders, and go with this punch that has a trajectory of the hook, but because of changing your shoulder levels, it will make your punch travel like this. And altogether it will look like this, slower. Step in, move my head, changing my shoulders, and hitting my opponent with this angle, like this. Also, you can keep your lead foot at the same spot and take step with your rear foot, like this. And the master of this punch is the Triple G. He knocked out and rocked many guys with this punch. So now I shared all the 17 advanced boxing punches that will make you more versatile and unique fighter. But before trying to learn them, stick to the fundamentals and master the basics. And if you want to learn the essential boxing skills as quickly as possible, check out the KO Boxing Package, which is a training program that will take you from a complete beginner to an advanced boxer. First link in the description. Thanks for watching and stay sharp.